Okay, good morning and welcome to the Hawaii State Ethics Commission. The time is 9:02. Today is June 19th and 2024. And right now, if you do want to speak, especially for those of you on WebEx, please raise your hand so I can see you. There's only myself here and Bonita and Miles here. So right now I want to do a roll call to see if we have a quorum.
Commissioner Hall,
Present and alone.
Commissioner Thielen,
Present and with my rescue dog.
and then Vice Chair Tobias is going to be joining shortly.
Myself.
And I'll also note the presence of Chair Fong, Compliance Director, myself, Chang, and Assistant Miles Yamamoto in the conference room.
And I assume all of you are alone. Is that correct?
For the rest of the commission staff, if you can please identify yourself and indicate whether you're present or alone.
Robert Harris, Executive Director, General Counsel. I am present via Zoom and alone.
Staff Attorney Sniper.
I'm present and alone.
Staff Attorney Yamanuha.
Present and alone.
Staff Attorney Yi.
Present and alone.
And Computer Specialist Louis.
Present and alone.
And if any members of the public would like to identify themselves.
Okay, guess not.
If not,
I assume Commissioner Thielen and Commissioner Hall, you folks are alone. Just give me a thumbs up. Is that right? All right. Thank you.
And a couple
Since
of
we do
staff.
have a member.
Bonita,
Oh,
Barbara,
sorry.
and Jared.
Barbara and Jared, if you can identify yourself, please.
Present and alone.
we got everybody?
Barbara.
Present and alone.
Okay, thank you.
I think we got everybody covered.
Yeah.
Pretty much so. Okay. Because we do have a member of the public, I have to read this. Those who are participating via Zoom video or audio, like that, wrong one. For members of the public who may be joining us remotely, if the commission's video conference connection is lost during the meeting, we will recess the meeting and reconvene after a connection is restored. Please check the commission's website. That's www.ethics.hawaii.gov for information about reconnecting to the meeting. If the meeting is continued to a later date or terminated, information about this will be posted on our website. Okay, and I think we have this one member from the public. Okay, first on the agenda, we have consideration approval of minutes from May 15, 2024. Are there any corrections? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of May 15, 2024. Moved by Commissioner Thielen.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hong. Any discussion? Not? All in favor? Roll call.
So any member of the public.
Is any member of the public want to comment on the minutes? Guess not. Roll call. Stoves over there.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
Aye.
and Chair.
Chair votes aye. No objections. The motion is carried. All right, first on the agenda, after our director's report, and Robert, I hope you're feeling better. You did get all your shots, and well, I'm sorry to hear that you did. Well, you weren't immune to the bug, as they say, but welcome.
Thank you, Chair. If you don't mind, I'm going to first turn it over to Benita to talk about training overall efforts, and I will pick up for Key on the enforcement.
If I may address a little bit out of order, in combination the disclosures as well as the training matters at the same time. May 31st was the filing deadline for all employee filers and also continuing board filers. And June 14th was the deadline for state candidate filers. So the office was particularly busy managing the increased call volumes and also assisting filers in meeting the requirements. So I'd like to thank the entire staff, especially the front office, as well as attorneys for fielding all the calls and the uptick in guidance requests. We are, I think overall, we have on average about over 1,500 filers and about 169 candidate filers. So that's, thank you all the staff for your hard work. We are currently in the process of preparing fine notices and candidate filer publicizing the list. So we'll be reporting to the commission next month about that information. Candidates have until Friday to withdraw their nomination. So we're waiting to see if there's any effect to our office. For new board filers, we'll be assisting with new board filers who are joining their boards beginning July 1. So at the end of June, we'll be pushing out initial notices to the new board members. In terms of returning back to the issue of education and training, once filing season is over, we'll be able to refocus our efforts on training and education. As I indicated in our previous meetings, our goal is to focus on the larger departments such as DOE, UH, DOT, and some of the lower performing agencies to help them bring their numbers up as best as we can in terms of coordinating with their HR and board administrators. Since our last report, the Department of Correctional DCR has increased their numbers from 14 to 36%. Largely because we've been coordinating with them on cross-referencing their information. They have a lot of vacancies and the turnover that, and plus they had just finished their reorganization. So we'll continue to work with their HR administration to increase their personnel numbers. For greater efficiency, we will be planning to switch to quarterly reporting for our training statistics, mainly because we're in the process of working with the various agencies and boards, particularly as board members cycle off their boards and new board members are coming on. So we'll be updating our databases to reflect those changes and record their training compliance information. And as part of that efforts, we'll be coordinating with HR and board administrators to ensure as part of the onboarding process, they're having their new employees, new hires, new board members complete the training at the front end. Especially if they have an LMS system, we're going to encourage them to direct the traffic to their LMS system so that it'd be a more effective way for their agencies to track the data, and then therefore we can get data from them to report back to you. So with the remaining 6 months, we anticipate that we'll make good headway in reaching the 85%.
Oh, you already answered my question. You knew I was going to answer it. Remember the beginning of the year, I set a goal of 85. I was 90 close, but 85. And congratulations to the staff. It's tough. And I hear they're cutting back. So, when we get that goal, I think we did very well. Commissioner Thielen, you had a question, I think I remember a couple of meetings ago about some of the agencies. You still have any questions about any of those particular agencies or departments?
Not today.
No.
But I do have something on an agenda item further on.
Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, thank you very much. Next, Robert, what's next?
Thank you, Chair. Respectfully, looking at the new assignments, we received a total of 59 new assignments, which largely breaks down between gifts, requests for review of gifts of travel, invitations to events, as well as complaints. And we closed out 56. So, again, largely staying on track with essentially stuff coming in and being closed out, relatively speaking, in a relatively quick fashion. Shifting briefly to just general updates, we have received correspondence from the Maui Board of Ethics that they have been submitting a request to authorize the hiring of permanent employees for them. I believe it's an investigator and a secretary. Both the chair and myself on behalf of the commission submitted supportive testimony, and I understand it's going to be before the council on the 21st for approval. So cautiously optimistic and really appreciate the efforts that the Maui Board of Ethics is doing. And I hope, we'll take a tiny bit of credit in trying to, push, I think, a little bit on this effort overall as well.
Let me interject. One second. Let me interject. Let me thank Robert. Actually, little background on the Maui Commission. I got an email from Mike Lilly, who is a former Attorney General of the state of Hawaii, and he's now I think the vice chair of the Maui Commission, if I'm not mistaken. And he asked us for some testimony with support, because if you recall, we had our state conference of all of the commissions throughout the state, and those are the 4 county commissions and the state commission. The county commissions, except for Honolulu Commission, was really lacking. We're really lacking in staff, and we told them, if any way we can help out, let us know. Well, as a result, Mike Lilly did email Robert and me and ask for some support. So we submitted testimony in our individual capacity, also being on the Ethics Commission. 2 things. Number one, they wanted to increase the term limit of their commissioners. Their commissioners only can serve for 1 term. So now I understand that the county, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert, the county council did approve to extend for 2 terms. Now the next question is, can they get money to get a staff? Because they didn't have a staff. They still don't have a staff. So that's what Robert's talking about. Hopefully, they are successful. I don't know how they can operate without a staff. We're very fortunate to have a great staff, and they can help us do our job. So that's the background of the Maui Commission. We wish them the best, and we hope that it comes to fruition. Have I missed anything, Robert?
No, a good summary. I think the only comments, I think they have a committee process, and now it's going up before the full council for approval. So it's still working through the process, but hopefully that moves through, and we'll continue to submit testimony and support.
So I'm personally happy, because being is my 2nd term here, at least the other county councils are taking initiatives to improve their staffing so they can do their job. Unlike us, we're very fortunate now, again, in a very professional and efficient staff to help us do our job as commissioners. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions from the audience? Okay, thank you. Robert, continue.
So just one last thing. We are still waiting for the Judicial Council to nominate 2 individuals for the empty commissioner seat. Those 2 individuals would go to the governor for review, and the governor would select from one of those 2 individuals. So, I anticipate that happening imminently, but I don't have any particular inside information on that.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? Questions from the audience? Okay, thank you. I think that does that. Item number 3, media reports.
Thank you, Chair.
Robert?
Thank you. Just as a reminder, this is a standing item on our agenda to be able to talk about any reports of particular public interest that have been in the media talking about Hawaii State Ethics Commission or ethics in general since the last meeting we've had. Just briefly looking at some of the reports that come in, there was some great coverage of our last meeting talking about conflicts of interest and state employees that are having second jobs or legislators having second jobs. In addition, there's been some coverage of a $1,000 fine that the commission issued against a former member of the State Foundation of Culture and the Arts. Those seem to be the primary articles. I don't know if there's something else somebody else would like to bring up or talk about.
Any comments or questions from the commissioners? I got to give you a note. I got something in my email from one of my friends. I guess he does read Civil Beat, and he made mention about, I think the last meeting, Commissioner Thielen mentioned something about, I forgot, was it Mickey Mouse or something? I forgot what he called it. And he picked that up, and I asked the question, what does that mean? So whatever we say here, it does resonate in Civil Beat, which is nice. It was kind of humorous, I thought. Remember how you describe it, Commissioner Thielen? What's the name of it?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm
Go
not
ahead.
sure. I'm not sure if this. Oh wait, am I on? Wait. Oh shoot.
Yes,
Okay,
you are.
You can hear me? All right. I'm not sure if this is the time to bring it up, but I wanted to ask or propose or discuss some language that would relate to that situation that was covered in the New York Times Civil Beat article. And I guess I could even call it an expose. So is now the time, or would it be the later on agenda item?
I think we
Robert
have that
Sutton,
reserved for. We
I'm
have
sorry,
that for item agenda
Yeah.
number 6.
Not now.
Number 6. You want to hold?
Hearing is
Yeah.
hard.
How
Not
about holding?
now. Well,
Yeah,
tell me when.
Hold
Just tell me.
off on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. We were trying to think of that phrase that you described it. 7 minutes.
Sesame Street.
Anybody remember that? What's that?
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street.
Oh yeah.
Sesame Street. Yeah, well, they picked that up,
Yeah.
and one of my friends says, "What are you guys doing over there in Sesame Street?" And the Ethics Commission says, "I don't know," but I just thought it was a little humorous. I just thought, wow, if anything they picked up, it was Sesame Street. Anyway,
Well,
kudos to you, Commissioner Thielen.
it was kind of a shorthand clause that I would use with Legislative Reference Bureau. Give me a good Sesame Street clause. In other words, teach everyone what's going on in the bill.
Very good. Well, they did. Well, the media did pick that up, but of all things. Anyway, let's move on. Item number 4. Excuse me. Legislative matters. Robert.
Thank you, Chair. There has largely been little movement on the bills pending before the governor. So we have them hyperlinked for anybody who's interested in looking at the bills before the governor currently, as well as the 2 laws that have gone into effect. But otherwise, not much to report here, but happy to answer any questions folks might have.
Commissioners, any questions in regards to legislative matters on your agenda? How about the public? Any have any questions? Okay, let's move on. Item number 5, discussion on ethics oversight over the judicial branch. Status. Robert?
Chair, just as a reminder, we, in part because of your efforts, we've engaged with the judicial branch about discussion of the national controversy about reporting from Supreme Court justices. We've had some productive meetings. We have not had a meeting since the last commission meeting. We do need to follow up, but essentially nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. And let me just emphasize that the judiciary is very receptive to our, I guess suggestions and concerns, and so we're there to help them, not to oversight them, as they say. So just to let you know. Okay, item number 6. All right, Commissioner Thielen, this is what you were talking about, discussion of proposed ethics updates based upon Civil Beat New York Times. Let's Robert first report. Oh, let Robert give a report and give your question. Robert?
Sure. Just as a reminder, we had talked about trying to look at ethics responses based on that article. One in particular, I think Commissioner Thielen will talk about, was ways to either have greater transparency or prohibition on certain civil service employees or certain state employees, I should say, from engaging in sort of political conduct or political campaigning. And so we have not made a lot of progress on that to date. Again, it's probably a legislative proposal for next year, so it hasn't necessarily been the top priority, but it is something we're still looking at. One thing that we have considered is on the federal side, and again, I don't know if this squarely addresses the situation, there are prohibitions on criminal enforcement from being involved in political, and I think the idea is to try to keep politics away from the criminal enforcement process. And so there is at least a pattern to look at that. But let me pause there and see what other questions or ideas people have.
Okay, let's Commissioner Thielen, and then if Commissioner
Sure.
Hong has any comments too, but Commissioner Thielen, you're first.
All right, thank you. I was wondering if we could discuss proposed language for a bill, which of course the bill would have to have a Sesame Street clause, purpose clause, and it could pull from the New York Times Civil Beat article because there is such compelling data in that article. And here is what I was wondering, if we could make it illegal or unethical for anyone involved in awarding or administrating state contracts to be involved in political fundraising. Just that simple, short restriction.
Robert, response, comment?
It's something we can look into. Again, I think the unintended consequences I'd be worried about. I think that language, unless it's tweaked, probably would capture the governor, and most sort of higher level political appointees.
No, because it's narrowed by saying awarding or administrating state contracts. Now, the deputy director certainly was administrating the state contracts. The governor doesn't do that. So I think if we kept the language very, very narrow, the awarding is usually done by the head of the department, and heads of the department should not be involved in fundraising. It's also administrating state contracts. Those are usually the deputy directors, and they should not be involved in fundraising. That's where things become very unethical in my mind.
Okay.
So can we float this out there, keeping it very, very narrow? I'll read it again. Illegal or unethical for anyone involved in awarding or administrating state contracts to be involved in political fundraising. And I would like to suggest that we go ahead and make an effort to have that be one of our bills that we move forward to introduce by request, obviously, to have introduced in the 2025 legislature.
So, Commissioner, thank you for the input and the idea.
Try that again.
Thank you for the input and the idea. We can certainly look at it from a legal perspective to see if there's anything analogous in other states from a constitutionality, kind of review. The, thing that I think, we'd have to sort of think about as well is the way the state of Hawaii's contracting process is it's very distributed. Most departments and divisions and agencies all handle their own contracting. So the number of state employees that potentially are picked up by this could be large. Again, that
That's
may
great.
be fine.
That's
That may be
great,
fine.
Robert.
But
That's
but I
great.
think it's something that we should, at least have some grip on and understand better.
Yeah, having it pick up with a broad swath is cleaning up government.
Mm-hmm.
Let me interject real quick. I think it's a good, before I ask Commissioner Hong his thoughts. So what I'm understanding what you want to do, Commissioner Thiel, is anybody who is going to be awarding contracts should not be involved in any political activity in regards to someone who's looking for a contract. I mean, bottom line, is that right?
Fundraising, it is narrow. That's why if we look at the language again, anyone involved in awarding, here's the deputy director that's making the determination about which contract is going to be awarded. That catches that person. Awarding or administrating, and that was that DOT deputy director that certainly was administrating state contracts to be involved in political fundraising. So the word
Any political
fundraising
fundraising.
is fundraising is
Are
the
you
key
saying,
word there.
are you saying any fundraising?
I beg your pardon. I'm not saying on it doesn't reach out to sign waving. It doesn't reach out to a lot of things. It's saying they're not
Okay.
involved in, they're not
I just
involved
wanted-
in the
Thanks.
brown bag things.
I think it's a good idea. Let's, as Robert said, he'll go and research it and see where we stand on that item. I think it's a good point. I don't know how broad, and I'm a little worried about I guess interpretation, if nothing else, the legality of it. But I'll let Robert and the staff look at it, and we can put it on the agenda. Commissioner Hong, do you have any comments on that?
No, I'd support, Commissioner Thielen's request in principle, and then have Mr. Harris develop the details, and we can discuss this at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any member of the public want to speak on this topic or this issue? Okay, if not, Robert, is that okay? We'll get a feedback from you all.
It sounds great. Thanks, Chair.
All right. Commissioner Thielen, anything else on that?
That's it. Thank you. I think if we keep it narrow, we explain it with the big bird Sesame Street reason. We've got that data, that data in the article is just so explanatory. And you put that out and you see the small number of parties that are doing this. And it just to me, it just smells of unethical behavior. So I'm looking at a narrow first step. Let's get in there and begin to say, you've got choices, guys. Don't bid on government work if you want to go do all this brown bag stuff with candidates. You got a choice. And then the people that work for the government, we should expect more out of them than having them be part of a brown bag operation. And right now we don't have anything that really controls that. So that's what I'm saying, to make a very narrow political fundraising, not saying sign waving, certainly not saying voting, but political fundraising. And I think it's a very good beginning for us to take. It would be interesting to see how it would be received by legislators. in
With that
2025.
caveat in mind, that we should, if we do go forward and having it very narrowly interpreted or applied, I should say, I think it's a good idea, and I thank you for your concern. I was chuckling because I hope that we not, our commission is not known as the extension of Sesame Street, that's all. But thank you. But a good analogy. All right, any other questions or comments on this topic? Okay, let's move along. Item number 7.
Chair,
I
if
believe.
I may, respectfully, I would ask
Yes.
maybe if we can defer this item. I'm going to recommend that we go into executive session on it. And I'm not certain we need to go into executive session regarding the Akana matter. So maybe we can address Akana now and then go into executive session, and folks who want to drop off, can.
I'm sorry, say again.
I'm
Your
recommending
recommendation?
we defer item number 7, agenda item number 7, until after Akana. So
Okay.
go ahead and address item number 8 now.
Okay, any objections by the commissioners? Okay, let's move to agenda number 8, Akana. Oh my gosh. Robert, Akana.
So thank you, Chair. So we've attached a number of the public filings just to keep the commission and the public abreast of what's going on it. I'm going to summarize through that somewhat quickly. If there are specific questions about our legal position or approach, we may need to go into executive session. But otherwise, I think, just the status update can be done all publicly. So there's been a lot of filings in the past month. We filed a response to the application for the writ of cert, which is attachment number 1. OHA asked to file a amicus brief. We responded to that. There was an order granting OHA's ability to file amicus brief. The Akana through her attorneys filed a memo in reply to us. The amicus brief was filed, and we filed a reply to the amicus brief. There was a disclosure notice from CJ Rechtenwald noting that he serves on the Judicial Council that appoints commissioners to this body and giving parties an opportunity to object to his participation in this matter. And then there was an order granting cert and an order setting oral argument for July, I believe. I have to double check that. So the case is moving along. The fact that it's set for oral argument, typically that means a decision comes out, within a couple of months, typically after an oral argument happens. So the case is moving expeditiously. Let me pause there. If there's any questions, I may caution again, if it's going to be about a particular legal strategy or something else, then that might be better for executive session.
Let me ask the question without discussing the case. What's our next deadline that we should wait for so we know where we are in this case?
So the oral argument is in July, and let me confirm that exact date for you.
So in July, there's going to be oral argument then. And usually after the oral argument, how long does it take?
So July 16th at 2 p.m. is the oral argument. Okay. And that's usually at the Supreme Court branch, Supreme Court courtroom. I think when a decision comes out after oral argument is a bit of crystal ball gazing, but because the Supreme Court is now a limited court, they only accept things on cert. They tend to be much faster than the ICA. And sort of from past experience, and my experience being there as a clerk many years ago, typically once you set it for oral argument, all the justices have been briefed on the issue, and they are usually ready to start making a decision. So again, I would anticipate after oral argument, it may be a couple of months for a Supreme Court decision to come out.
A couple of months?
Correct.
All right. Well, so the bottom line is, if the Supreme Court denies certiorari, that's the end of the ballgame.
So they have
Unless they
granted
appeal
cert.
to the United States.
They have granted cert. So we are clearly going to have an opinion from the Supreme Court of Hawaii.
So they granted certs. All right.
Correct.
So right now, let me correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, the cert was granted. They're going to hear it. So this is the oral argument for the case in general, the chief, right?
Correct.
Is that it? So whatever they decide after they have oral argument, then that's going to be the decision that's a final decision. Correct?
Correct.
All right. I'm sorry. All right. I want to make sure everybody understands that. What did they do? They did put it. Oh. I'm sorry. I thought they didn't grant cert, but they didn't certs. Okay. So we'll just cross our fingers 2 months after our argument. And hopefully this case will be finished before my tenure ends. All right. Thank you, Robert. Any questions from the commissioners? You commissioners don't understand the esoteric value of this case to me, but we've lived through it a long time. Any commissioners, any questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay, if not, let's go back to item number 7, Robert.
So, Chair, respectfully, a new law was passed last year with substantially similar language between enforcement authority between the Campaign Spending Commission and the Hawaii State Ethics Commission. And I think there are questions with regards to our legal authority and the interpretation statute. And so I would recommend, for purposes of discussing, 1 second. Essentially discussing our rights, liabilities, and immunities, I would recommend potentially going into executive session to talk about it, and then coming back afterwards to do a summary of whatever decision is or isn't made by our commission.
Okay. Any objections to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn into executive session
I so move.
by one of the commissioners.
Second.
Moved by seconded by Commissioner Hong. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
Aye.
Chair Fong.
Chair votes aye. Motion's carried. We will now be in executive session. Okay, we're back to item number 7. I think it was 7.
Yes.
7, Robert? Just briefly, and then I'll entertain a motion.
Thank you, Chair. Respectfully, the commission had a discussion in executive session talking about questions and issues pertaining to the commission's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities, and is now going to make a motion in the Sunshine agenda establishing a policy moving forward. Do you need any more discussion,
Okay.
Chair?
No, any comments? Any comments from any of the commissioners? Say again?
Yeah, could we just have Bonita read the motion so, it's on record?
Okay, we'll have, unless any more comments or questions, I'm gonna have Bonita read the motion as proposed.
Motion to defer to Campaign Spending Commission to take primary enforcement lead on enforcing the lobbyist donation restrictions pursuant to HRS Hawaii Revised Statutes 11-365 and also addressed in HRS 97-5.
Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Hall, seconded by Commissioner Thielen. Any more discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Hong,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
Aye.
Chair.
Chair votes aye, motion's carried. Thank you very much, and thank you, Bonita, for drafting the motion. Thank you, Robert. Anything else on that item?
No.
I assume you're shaking your head no. Okay,
Correct. No.
all right, thank you. All right, I think that is it. We are under item number 9, which is adjournment. Is there anything else? Am I missing, Robert? Or we're finished with the agenda? Okay.
We are ready for a motion.
It is. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Thielen and seconded by Commissioner Hall. The time, well, first of all, go ahead, roll call.
Commissioner Hong,
Aye.
Commissioner Thielen,
Aye.
Chair.
Chair votes aye, and the time is now 9:59. Motion's carried. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Let's take a